Hey everyone, and welcome to another video from Southern Reef Keeping. I wanted to give you all just sort of an overview at the beginning of the channel of what my system looks like. You can use it as a reference for all future videos, so we're going to kind of go in depth, but let's start out with the main display. So the main display tank is a 120 gallon Reef Ready, so it's just a 4x2x2. It's a mixed reef, so I've got softies like the leather, LPS like some of the A cans, and then SPS like this bird's nest, and then some of the new frags on the other side that I'll show you in a moment. So I built the stand and canopy myself, and the way this is all set up is it's a peninsula tank. So under here I have the two drain lines. I'm running a Herbie overflow, which means that this main line here is a full siphon, and this here is the backup. They come down and go through the wall, and I'll show you in a moment. I have my cords for my two MP40 Vortex. So the Herbie overflow, for those of you that don't know, I have two lines in a Reef Ready tank. This one here is a full siphon, so it's below the water line. It's just continually drawing all the water in, and it's controlled by this gate valve down here. You can use a Schedule 40, which is the white PVC, but that will stick on you. Eventually the salt creep will cause it to stick, among other things. So if you go with that black or gray, that's Schedule 80, it doesn't get clogged, it doesn't stick. The knob will be able to turn very readily for the life of it. Now this other is the emergency backup. So if you can see here, the water line in the tank is just barely above that. And I tuned it that way using that gate valve. So what it allows for is this tank to run completely silent, and then if this ever gets clogged, the emergency will catch it. So the tank drains down, goes through the wall, and comes over here. This is the kind of heart of the system. So it comes in through the back there through that mess, and drains down. So this line right here that you see is the backup, and then you have the drain lines from the frag tank right here. Again, Schedule 80. Unions on everything, union, union, union. You'll see unions all over, union, and another union. I put unions on everything. So this is an Emerald 39 sump. So it goes in, you can see the filter socks in the back. From there it goes into the first chamber where I have my probes. I have pH and salinity and temperature and ORP connected to the apex. I have my Reef Octopus 2000 internal skimmer. Right now it's skimming, I'd say somewhere in the middle. It's not very wet, it's not very dry. From there, it goes into what is being cultivated as my Kato. You can tell my Kato ball is pathetic right now. I didn't bring a lot of it over when I set up the new tank. And from there, it moves over into the return pump where I have a Vectra L1. The Vectra L1 then pumps up into this manifold. In the manifold I have an open valve that I can put something on at a later date. I have my bio pellet reactor, and then I have my GFO and carbon, and eventually this light will get replaced with something different. I'm running a Tunes auto top off. It's connected to this 5-gallon jug. So that's sort of the sump. The control panel I also built myself, and I set it up so it's a little bit off the wall so I can get the plugs in behind it. But you'll see I have my apex set up. This is the controller for the Vectra L1, my Tunes auto top-off system, two BRS peristaltic pumps for alkalinity and calcium. And I have my Reef Octopus bio pellet reactor, which I'll do a video on at a later date. And my BRS, or I'm sorry, did I say BRS? My Reef Octopus, my BRS GFO and carbon, running GFO and carbon. So the two peristaltic pumps, these lines come down, and then I keep my chemicals down here. I use the same bottles over again, so I mark them so that I don't accidentally use the wrong chemicals. You'll notice that they're being used at the same rate. I'm dosing calcium and alkalinity in the same quantities, 2 minutes every hour, all day long. I am running the lines in different places though. I have alkalinity being dosed here and calcium in the back. That's to avoid any condensation. So up top, I have my frag system also running a Herbie, and I just drilled holes in to stop it from creating this weird siphon. But this is still a work in progress. I took a lot of the coral out here and put it in the main display, but you'll see I have a lot of acans, I have some zoas, and then I have my zoa rock that I kept from my previous tank that I don't want in the main display. It would require me to drop the flow too much. So for now, it'll just stay in here. I'll probably eventually either sell it to the local fish store or frag it up and give it away and sell it. But this is kind of the main system. Again, I built the stand myself. And what I'm running for lighting, if I can get it to show, is a DIY 6 bulb T5 fixture, 24 watts. Now I'm only running 4 of the 6 right now, and I don't need the extra wattage for these, but once I turn this into an SPS frag tank, I will. I built that canopy myself. But so this is it. And then up here I have an old DJ board. These things are great. If you don't want to have a controller but you want something easy, the ADJ PC100A, everything's just a toggle switch. You know, I had 2 of these running on my tank before I set up a controller, and they're fantastic because they allow you to easily just switch on and off what you want. You don't have to worry about plugging things in and unplugging them, you know, all that. So for my water changing station, I have a line that's in right here that runs from another room in the basement, and in here I have my salt mix and my freshwater mix. Then I have some little, you know, crappy made shelves that I put together with feeding and testing equipment and fragging supplies and all that. So eventually I'll stack these on top of each other, but for right now I always keep them full, and I want to make sure that I always have fresh salt ready to go in case of emergencies, which I've had to use more than once. And then this little bucket here is for a quarantine system that I've got running. I've dosed some Biospira just to get the chemical biological filter kick-started on that bio wheel that I will then put in the quarantine tank in a day or 2. So again, frag system, plumbing, all of that in here, and then I can just shut these doors. You won't see anything there, and then over to the main display. Now, for lighting on the main display, I have 4 foot 54 watt Miro T5 bulbs, and I am running the ATI bulbs. I've got actinic, blue plus, and then 2 coral plus. I'm sorry, very far is the actinic. Then you have aqua blue special, and you have blue plus, then you have coral plus. As these fade out, I'll replace them all pretty much with the blue plus. I really like that blue. It's the PER, which is the usable photosynthetic light, is a little bit higher there, and I like the look of it. And then I also have 2 Kessel 360Ws, and all of that, if I can get it to focus, I have set up at the top. So built the canopy myself, and you know, I like having about 2 feet of clearance. It's really helpful for me when I have to get in the tank and get in underneath and clean it up and do all that. And then you know, I ran the return through the wall as well. Not easy because I had to make a 90-degree turn through a wall, but you know, it works. So I'm gonna cut the video right here and put the stand back together, and then go through what I've got in the tank. So now that we have the stand and canopy put together, you can really get an idea for what the tank typically looks like. I painted the back, this back wall here, using black Rust-Oleum paint on the back side there. Highly recommend painting the back of your aquarium before you set it up. It just makes everything look neater and cleaner. You'll notice that I did the same thing over here with the frag system, the sides and the bottom. Just makes everything look a little bit better. The only reason I did not paint this side, even though I did paint right here, is I wanted to be able to see in there. It's not pretty, but in case of emergencies, it's good to be able to see what's going on in there. And the only thing on this side of the room is the pool table. So so here's the tank itself. So quick quick tour of what we have. We have mushrooms, acans, GSP, more mushrooms that have fragged themselves, yet more mushrooms, an acan rock, which we'll fill in over time. This is a digitata I was trying to save, didn't work out. My leather, my euphyllias. So you have, I guess everyone's calling these toxic, but it's a toxic hammer or just a hammer, a pink and green hammer, and then a frog spawn. Eventually I think that frog spawn will go. It's just not very colorful. It's sort of a bland color. I got it for free. The local fish store had labeled it as dead on arrival. It was receding, and I talked him into giving it to me, and I've kept it alive for a year plus now. I guess they call this a leather coral, but it's been greener, it's been fuzzier. I think it's still getting adapting to the new tank. Over here we have more acans than my new coral that I just talked about in another video, which would be a Pocillopora, an Acropora, Seriatopora, Stylophora, and Millipora. The elephant ear, Superman mushroom, Stylophora that's slowly coming back to life, mushrooms, another mushroom, and my torch, and an acan in the back. So the overall plan for the tank is to have these guys here, all these high flow folks here and here, and the acans kind of in the middle, and then the torch and the euphyllias on the end. And I'm running two MP40s, and they're linked together. And the MP40s I have set up to Reef Crest, and let's see, I've got them, I guess, almost all the way. So they're right about here. So they're a little over 80%. I don't think I mentioned my pink bird's nest, but okay. So you'll notice there's no fish in the tank. I had mentioned this on another channel, but I decided to start fresh. So my fish had started to come down with ick, and I really quickly set up a quarantine tank, which I'll show you in a minute, and put everybody in there. But this is the main display. So all of this rock in here, I had cycle for 2 months in a trash can with constant water changes and power heads and heaters, and so I haven't had any kind of nitrate or ammonia spike or phosphate spike or anything like that. The water's already cycled, and everything's been good. So it paid. It took me about 6 months before I was ready to get to this stage, but doing it right is worth it and saves you money in the long run. So this is the tank, and I'll cut it here and go into the quarantine.